Hello, folks. My name is Timothy Takish. I live in 118 North Pack, and I'm very happy to see a lot of my neighbors who showed up tonight for this meeting. Is they very eloquently set forth already. We've got a big problem. I mean, our entire block is flooding, and ma'am, I heard you say that this rain was one of the worst rains we've had in a decade. My wife and I have lived in our house for almost 20 years, and for the first 16 years, we didn't get a drop in our basement. People came by, the village came by, and they redid our streets, and something is very, very clearly wrong. We've had 3 major floods in our basement since then, and we've done everything that was expected of us. The one thing that I would agree with one of the prior speakers who said it's partly the village problem, I've got to believe it's all the village problem now. Because we have had plumbers out, we've had drain tiles, overhead sewers. We have put immeasurable amount of money into our basement. And over the past 5 weeks, we've been hit very, very hard. All that work that we put into our home now is for naught, as far as I'm concerned. And by the way, on the south side of North Pack Avenue, for the first time 5 weeks ago, I saw a gigantic puddle of water during that big rain, and I've never seen that before in 20 years. When they redid the streets, I am convinced that they did something where they changed the whole structure there. And I don't think we could put any more money into our basement because I think this is a village problem. I'm happy that my neighbors have shown up. I think you're going to get more neighbors showing up here in the future unless something's done. Because we just can't keep dumping our own money into this if it is a village problem, and if our house is going to keep flooding. It's just not fair. Now, from everything I've read, property values have gone down everywhere. We're paying an awful lot in taxes. My taxes have not gone down at all in the last 10 years. They go up all the time. So I really would like to know, and I say this very respectfully, where is that money going and why are all of our basements flooding in this area? I really would like some answers from the village. From the engineering department, I think that we pay enough here. I think it's a wonderful community. We'd like to stay here, but we're not going to stay here where we're flooding constantly. We cannot do it, particularly if my wife and I and all of our neighbors and all their spouses can't fix the problem with their own money.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Riley, and I live at 729 South Spring. The 700 block of South Spring is a block that you identified as being particularly vulnerable, which is the word you used, which is an appropriate word. And to answer your question, why did the water disappear all of a sudden? It went into my basement. I got 7 feet of water. I have a couple comments. Ryan, you gave the description of how the system is supposed to work. Did it work that way this time? Did everything go right? Did every switch get flipped? Did every crank get cranked? Or did something go wrong that prevented the flow of water from going where it's supposed to go?
Well, I think simply there, as I said earlier, there are no switches that we have, that control or turn off water. I think the key point here is that the system has a finite capacity, and so when that's exceeded, if you're getting water in your basement, it certainly is not, it doesn't have sufficient capacity to handle the size of the storm that we see over the weekend.
And I understand the capacity issue, but I will point out that in 2008, the storm didn't have, there was a storm of similar rain, but it didn't have this sort of an impact.
Well, one of the things that we also do to make sure that there's not a problem within our line is we videotape and clean sewers regularly as part of the program to ensure that there's not a collapse or there's not a blockage in the line. And we'll certainly add this block to the list to look into that to make sure that there's not a problem within our sources.
Great. I think that some people have voiced frustration with the extremely passive method of communication by the village. We would like to see, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I've heard this come out in this meeting already. Please be more active with the people who have been affected by the floods with information on the information meeting. That would be very helpful. I'm sure a lot of us will attend that. You mentioned regional and federal assistance programs for people who've been affected by the floods. We need to know about that in a very active manner, not just passive or looking at the website every so often to figure it out. And then other flood-related programs. Please, we got a room full of people here. The list was distributed for about 15 seconds. It never made it to this side of the room. So I don't know, that was a pretty half-hearted effort. So I just think that you guys need to take more of a more proactive approach to get the word out to us. There are people here wanting the information that only you guys can provide. So you have a captive audience, so take advantage of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Hi, my name is Bob Westrick. I live at 136 North Peck Avenue. Our family's been there about 15 years. And I just want to make sure, we also got water the last couple of rains. I just want to make sure that the issue of water, people don't go and thinking, oh, geez, this was, once in a 100-year type thing. It was huge rain. We all know that. However, I don't want just a blanket of rain to get, the specific areas that really have problems and continued problems get swept under the rug it was just a big rain. Because it was a big rain, but there are specific areas of this town, and I'm here petitioning for Peck. Because like John was saying, since our street was redone, kind of like I think someone else was talking about, now at our corner of Bell and Peck, it's a lot lower than it used to be. And now I've seen that area, when all of a sudden now that area floods, that's when our sewers back up. And I never recall that in 15 years before they redid our street. Now I don't know if it had to do with the redoing of the street, but now I hear about these restrictors, maybe that has something to do with it, I don't know. But we have a persistent problem on Peck, as I hear they do in Spring and on Sunset. And just for the record, I want to make sure that it's heard that we'd like some engineers or whatever, to look into our specific problems over there on Peck. And also I'm aware that, there is some sewage project going on Maple and another one on Ogden. Is the one on Ogden just going to collect more water, which might exacerbate the existing system, or is it actually going to be able to take more water out of the system? Thank you.
Thank you. The answer to your latter question with respect to both the Maple Avenue relief sewer and the Ogden Avenue relief sewer is that they would increase the capacity effectively of each of those lines.
Hi, I'm Will Wolz. I live on 700 block of Spring with Brian here, and lived in the village for over 20 years. One question that me and a lot of our neighbors are having is we've made a big investment in the deep tunnel project, which is supposed to alleviate all of this. And we never saw canoes floating down our streets before. We saw that this weekend. And I'd like to know what happened with the deep tunnel and why that didn't prevent this from happening.
Certainly, it's my understanding that, I don't want to speak for the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, but they did have a combined sewer overflow with this recent rain event. So what that means is their sewer systems had reached capacity for the area, and then they had a discharge into area waterways. There are different kinds of flooding that could occur, and in some areas, and each area needs to be looked at specifically, you could have a localized capacity issue, meaning the specific sewer on your block can only handle a certain size rain event, and then after that sewer reaches capacity and can't handle any more water. So it could be unrelated to the deep tunnel. So we have to look at each individual case to find out if there's something that the village can do or if it's part of a more regional issue.
But the deep tunnel should add more capacity, right? Instead of taking capacity from the system.
It does. But there could be a localized issue in the sense that, the pipe is only sized a certain size on the block to handle a specific rain event. So once that capacity is exceeded, backups can occur in a localized area and not necessarily in a regional area, on a regional basis. So the deep tunnel may or may not be related to the specific issue you were having. The deep tunnel does add capacity to the system. However, though, the localized system may not be large enough to handle the rain event in and of itself that we experienced over the weekend.
So what you're hearing though from everybody is that this is not a one-time occurrence. This has gotten worse over the years, and so we're not only not seeing the relief from the deep tunnel, but in fact things are going in reverse. We need answers.
Thank you.
I'm Susan Krosick from the 700 South Block of Spring. And Ryan's been to our block before. We have, in addition to the sewer not draining, we have a low spot in our yard. And there's a matter of 6 houses that have been involved repeatedly with rains that there's no overland outlet of that water. We've asked the village for help, and it was left to us to hire someone to survey that land in the sewer system for us to put a drain in. And it just seemed like we didn't get much assistance from the village. We got direction, and Ryan was good with that, but then left up to the 6 individuals that fell apart. And so just to speak again about the help from the village, we could get more help. We have engineers with the village. Could they not have done that survey for us? And so just to be on record for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. Anybody else on the issue of rain and flooding situations? Thank you very much, each and every one of you, for being here tonight. You are both patient and thoughtful in your commentary, and I'm confident that our staff will continue to work their tails off to address the issues that you've raised tonight and over the weekend and in past on past occurrences too, to look at each of these situations and to find out what we can do, what others may do, what issues are local, what are regional, and how we may best assist you. So stay tuned. I don't know where that pad ended up, but if each of you, maybe it's on the back table. Did anybody end up with a pad? If it's on the back table on your way out, if you put your name and maybe an email address, we'd be able to shoot out an email to you. And then also, if you will, do sign up to be notified on our website so that we can keep you posted with respect to village news as well. Thank you again for being here.